Round one.
To say that I've been looking forward to Ubisoft's For Honor would be a massive understatement. The promise of fully realized weapons-based combat and a 3D arena put me immediately on notice. Though I am wont to admit it now, I surrendered many an hour of my youth to the duel, be it in the Bushido Blade or the Soul Calibur series. But recent attempts at recreating the chaotic bliss of the medieval melee have been at best hit or miss. 2010's Deadliest Warrior, the game for Xbox Live Arcade and PSN, made a small splash in the genre because of its inclusion of instant death kills and a wide cast of historical combatants, but ultimately failed to capture a large audience or get the level of polish it desperately needed. 2013's Deadliest Warrior expansion for Chivalry provided some brief respite from first-person gauntlet fisticuffs by injecting ninjas and pirates into the fray, but again, the game withered from lack of polish and attention, and was ultimately abandoned by the community in favor of the original game. Fortunately, Ubisoft Montreal, if the recent alpha version of the game is anything to go by, are picking up the slack where its genre predecessors have fallen. Not only is polish no longer a concern, it's a strength. Exquisite animations accentuate every frenzied thrust of the axe, every life-or-death parry of the sword, and characters impart with them an incredible sense of weight and momentum that is frankly unlike anything I have ever seen. Making use of the Anvil engine, the same engine powering Ubisoft's Rainbow Six Siege, For Honor looks gorgeous and usually ran between 60 and 70 frames per second on my PC with all the amenities turned on. Quite an impressive feat of optimization for a game only in its alpha stage. The controls, if I may use the analogy, are a double-edged sword. While I found them incredibly difficult to wrap my head around, it took me a good 3 or 4 hours to stop doing things I didn't want to do. Once I got the hang of them, I truly appreciated the level of depth Ubisoft has chosen to bestow upon its player base. Far from a button masher, For Honor demands a level of forethought, deception, and planning that in its best moments gave me the sense that I was playing chess with long swords and axes instead of with pawns and rooks. While the wild fracas of the game's 4v4 mode, Dominion, constantly beckons players burning with bloodlust, I personally found the 1v1 duel mode to be the highlight of my 3-day journey. With For Honor's in-game abilities, known as feats, turned off in this mode, dueling demands attention, focus, and a clear demonstration of mastery over one's character. The skill gaps here are wide, and with randomness to a minimum, each victory and defeat is entirely the player's own. Character customization options run a surprisingly deep gamut, allowing players to choose their skin color, sex, helmets, chess pieces, and even the individual accoutrement of their weapons, from the blades of their swords to their hilts. That isn't to say that this battlefield is entirely without its own potential pitfalls. While the game's peer-to-peer functionality usually resulted in a surprisingly satisfactory play experience, there were several instances whereby a host migration resulted in the displacement of characters on screen. That is, I might have been about to deliver the death blow to my fallen foe, and then, after a botched host migration, I'd find myself with my back to my opponent, ready to be skewered. Other times, the game's peer-to-peer architecture would bug out the game entirely, resulting in disconnections for everyone following one player's premature exit. While these instances were rare enough to not seriously hinder my 3-day alpha experience, this level of instability and this kind of interruption of game flow would surely become intolerable over the course of weeks and months, and is entirely inexcusable in what will be a $60 retail product in 2017. History is replete with games that have shown us that these issues, if left unchecked, will whittle what could be a vast, loyal, and active community into nothing, and in a very short matter of time. For this reason, I implore Ubisoft to put its best foot forward by either figuring out a way to implement dedicated servers, or by otherwise ensuring that in-game latency is minimized and unwanted pauses during gameplay never encroach upon what is an otherwise extremely enjoyable experience. This has been my For Honor Alpha Impressions, and my name is Stinger911. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.